Hi, everybody. It's Leah Etling with Running USA, and I'm really excited today to be here with Jon Ruiz. John's with EB Systems. He's its co-founder and CEO, and he's a relatively new member to Running USA. So we're going to get to know a little bit about his company and how they work with clients all over the US to create connected environmental solutions that are really important for events as well. So, John, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited.
Awesome. Well, let's get to know you. Let's get to know EB Systems. Tell us a little bit about the technology. What exactly does it do?
Yeah, so our company tagline is we use a combination of mobile apps, wearable Bluetooth devices, and proprietary beacon sensors to create real-time location and reporting systems. So we've actually been in business 10 years since myself and Brendan graduated from college 10 years ago. And we've done all sorts of applications using this technology from workforce management apps to putting Bluetooth chips in hard hats to do safety systems for construction sites. We even did contact tracing during COVID. However, what we've really been focused on the past couple of years is our CrowdFlow platform that uses this same technology to essentially collect trends, estimate attendance, and other things on how crowds are moving through spaces at events. And so this technology works by passively and anonymously picking up on Bluetooth signals from cell phones and wearables. Now, we don't know who a device belongs to. However, it allows us to apply these analytics to understand how many people showed up, where they're going, and where they're spending their time.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like it has super natural connections to the running industry. And I know you have a few clients in our space already. So tell us about that. How are large events using your tech?
Yeah, so we actually launched this product at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade here in Kansas City, where we're headquartered. And so this was in 2020. So a few weeks after the Super Bowl parade, events didn't necessarily exist for 2 years, right? At least to the scale that they are today. And it was really great during this time keeping in touch with some folks at Chicago Event Management, Paul Brackey, who was interested in the technology in 2020. However, we all went through that transitional period of COVID lockdowns. And then when we came back, how do we make sure that these events come back bigger and better than ever? And so we actually worked with the Chicago Marathon when we came back and relaunched our CrowdFlow platform. And really, how we started working with them was just to help initially answer that simple question. We know how many runners are in the race. We know when they pick up their packets, but running and endurance sports is one of the fastest growing sporting events in the world. So they want to understand, all right, do people bring friends, family, mom, dad, brother, sister? We want to understand the full scope of these events and not just the participants.
So, any insights that the platform delivered for Chicago that they were surprised by or used to make interesting decisions of any kind?
Well, I think the first thing we were able to do is, reinforce some of the guesstimating or assumptions that they were making all these years. However, we were able to show that for each participant, I believe it was like 2.1 additional attendees for each participant. So being able to understand that each runner may bring at least two people on average, sometimes more. And then from there, I think what really started opening their eyes and helping them expand the use of the technology was our dwell time analysis. Not only understanding average time spent within the entire expo or post-race party, but also understanding which areas had higher dwell times, such as packet pickup, t-shirt pickup, but also for their brands and sponsorships, how engaging were some of their activations throughout the expo.
Super interesting. Yeah, giving your sponsors some feedback on really kind of what reach and range they had is so important across our industry. Kind of along those lines, we have a lot of events in our space that are not as big as Chicago or some of the other majors. How is this scaled? Tell us about how a smaller event might make use of it.
Yeah, so we've been talking about huge macro level events like the marathon and Chiefs Super Bowl parade, but something that we actually learned from working at Chicago was not only is that big picture number important, but what is happening within the footprint of the event. And so we actually had some beacons deployed at Abbott's specific booth and their activation. And so being able to hone in on very specific information for it on the booth level compared to the entire event footprint. From there, it helped us understand on, okay, every single marathon seems to rely on sponsorships and brand partnerships. And so helping them relay the value of their event and the exposure is super valuable for them to keep growing their event. And so not everyone is going to reach the level of 60,000 runners like New York and Chicago, but they're still very important to brands and sponsorships to understand how people are engaging with those spaces. And in some scenarios, it may give them an opportunity to have a more personal touch at a smaller event where there is more engagement and they're building more, brand rapport with, participants and attendees.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to get to see this in action and really honored to have you as a sponsor of our upcoming conference in St. Louis. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be using with us there and what we'll be able to track as a result.
Absolutely. So yeah, we want to do a live CrowdFlow deployment at Running USA in St. Louis. And really it's since it is a ticketed event, we know how many people are going to be there, but I think the true value long term of our data is understanding things like common paths. Once someone enters or goes through a key area, what is the trend? Are people going to the vendor booth first? Are they going to a specific section? Or are they going to a services area like t-shirt pickup, packet pickup? We can help simulate some of these workflows that we see at some of these races and events and really paint the picture at Running USA to the people that understand their events. We can provide that data, but once they see it in action, they can start having ideas on how can I apply it to this use case, whether it be shortening wait times for packet pickup and other operations, or increasing exposure and dwell times for some of their brand and sponsorship partners.
Very cool. We'll look forward to that. And since you're a tech guy, I got to wrap up with a final question about the roadmap. What are you working on? Anything you're planning to improve or change about the platform in the future?
Yeah, so a new feature that I'm really excited about that we've been working with the Houston Marathon team on is our digital twin mode. Essentially, what it does is it takes the live crowd flow data that we collected at their events, some of our other client events, and then allow them to create a digital twin to run simulations. So let's say they want to see how moving the food court or the gear check or any other services within their pre or post race deployments. We can now run simulations on how that impacts attendee flow, how it impacts dwell times, give them congestion ratings based on moving their layout. So not only can we help them understand their event uh, post event, but now they can start planning for their next race and event using their existing data and run simulations on it.
Very cool. Well, as I'm sure you've found out as you've been working in our space, the running industry is full of data nerds. So this is super exciting. John, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, one of the reasons we joined Running USA was to really start understanding the industry a little better. I think we mentioned on another calls, we kind of started at the top with the Chicago Marathon as far as size and attendance, but we see that our technology can bring value to all sizes and different types of events. And so that's really what we want to accomplish at Running USA is connecting with people from all different places, different styles of events, and different goals, and help them find a use and especially add value to their events using our technology.
Amazing. We love that. Just since you are a brand new member, do you want to share any contact info or website that fellow members can look at to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. So ebsystems.co is our website. We have a dedicated page for our event technology, our CrowdFlow platform. So I would encourage people to review that. We can share some of our slide decks and other information through the contact page. But if you want to reach out to me, just look me up on LinkedIn, Jonathan Ruiz, or jr@ebsystems.co for my email.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This was great.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And excited to Running USA in St. Louis.
We'll see you there.